Hi, good afternoon. Happy Sunday and Father's Day. So, we're going over the conclusion of the anxiety chapter. And we talked about avoidance, and it maintains anxiety and makes it worse over time. So, I talked about the elevator scenario. You can have other phobias about spiders and snakes and more serious ones. It is important to expose yourself to the situations that make you feel anxious, which is basically what I'm saying. There are two mindfulness quotes that I'm gonna skip. Increasing awareness of your breathing so that you engage in more abdominal breathing can reduce feelings of tension and anxiety. Imagery is another anxiety reducing strategy. So we talked about a beach scene. I mentioned if you live in Pennsylvania, and I'm sure wherever you are, there are mountains fairly close, maybe not everywhere, because I saw some new viewers from another country which may not have as many mountains as we do. So we're going to chapter 11, which is about family and friends, which goes over something that I've gone over before. Support group. So before I start, I will give you my little take on support group. So your psychiatrist, counselor, or not a counselor, depending on the way you're being treated, because some psychiatrists do both the medicine and the CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy. Husband or wife, a partner of a long time, a sibling, friends of a long time, and I would say minimal 5. So yeah, and if one doesn't stay close to you where you feel like they can be in the support group, you can always exchange. You don't have to fire anybody, but maybe they don't have the time to be part of your support group, to take a phone call when you need to talk, whatever. You can exchange the players and still have a support group. And they should be trustworthy, responsible, and capable. Your employer could discriminate against you by not promoting you or laying you off, although this is illegal under Americans with Disabilities Act, which covers mental illness. And in short, you should think carefully about whom to tell. So I know people that if they share their illness, they can figure out another circumstance to let you go, even if it's the illness that's really the problem. It's hard to prove, so you have to decide. And I would certainly discuss it with your psychologist and your counselor, because they've probably been around for a considerable amount of time, and they know how that would affect you. So all of your doctors, I never said your GP, but maybe that would be a good one, because if you can't reach them directly, if you have a group, usually the doc on call, like say you have a GP group with 5 people, somebody would call you back. And really, some circumstances you just need to talk to somebody, but it's nice to have them have a medical background. So your adolescent or adult children, your closest friends and supporters. And beyond this group, however, use your discretion in informing people about bipolar 2. So that's true. I feel from my research that if you're not being totally public about your illness, and maybe you have an illness like bipolar 2 where you have long periods of stability, maybe you don't want to hoot and holler people to know. Some people figure it out. That happens. And then, you hope that they're not somebody, if you're wanting to keep it close to the vest, as they say, that you can trust them not to spread the information. So this is an exercise 11.1 about whom to tell. What are the potential risks or negative consequences of this person's knowing that I have bipolar 2? For example, could you be risking some aspect of your job by informing a coworker? Okay, so that's something to think about. And I would definitely consult the doctors in your life, because in a lot of jobs, let me take a bit of water. Information goes like whisper down the lane, and one person knows it and then tell another, blah, 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 blah. And we have social media now, so the information might travel fast, and you've chosen to keep it close to your vest. So that's something to think about. Is this person trustworthy? In other words, is this person likely to tell others about my bipolar 2, or is he or she capable of keeping it confidential? You probably know people in your life that are good at keeping stuff close to the vest and just aren't those kind of people. So, you have to look at your life. And again, especially if you're having two docs around and a PhD, your psychiatrist, your counselor, and your GP. And that's kind of good, I would think, if they all, usually they would find out, because medication-wise, if your psychiatrist puts you on medication, it's going to have to be known around. Like, you would have to tell docs about your medication, because you wouldn't want them giving you something that clashed with what you take. Will this person judge me for having a mental disorder? Although you cannot predict a person's attitude on mental illness, certain information can serve as an indicator. For example, perhaps the person suffers from panic attacks or has family members with schizophrenia, which might make him or her more accepting of your bipolar disorder. So, this goes back like February when we started, and I think when I was sharing a lot of my dissertation. Stigma and self-stigma. A lot of what I watch now, and a self-help book that has nothing to do with mental illness, is advocate for yourself. Try not to feel self-stigma. You're a human being, and so many people say if you broke a leg or you had diabetes, you wouldn't get the same treatment about mental illness. When I started studying this, there was mental illness. I was hoping my knowledge and my spreading my knowledge would in a little way dispel some stigma. It's still out there. I have no idea when it'll change big time. As I said, Selena Gomez has shared that she's bipolar. And I think that's good about celebrities, but the same way Michael J. Fox has Parkinson's and has started this $1 million association to search for cures and medicines to help if you already have it. That's what we need. Like, some people that have it and have money and can put it into something new, something new that's a resource, and not so much a hospital. I don't know what that would look like. I'd love to be part of that and think that my background would help in that. How I feel after I tell this person, will I most likely feel relieved or am I likely to feel regret? That's something you would have to deal. That's something you would have to deal. And I was watching a religious video before this, and it was saying about, you know, things you can't go back and change. If you give that trusted information to somebody and they can't keep it a secret and you're keeping it, sorry to use this metaphor over and over, close to the vest, there's no going back on that. What would my clinician suggest that I do with regarding to telling this person? We encourage you to speak to your doctor or mental health clinician to get his or her thoughts on disclosure to this particular person. It may be helpful to speak with a close friend. Again, this has to be a trustworthy, responsible, have integrity person that would know that you're not telling the whole world. So, I like what I see ahead in chapter 11, and there's still a chapter 12. So I'm really liking this bipolar 2 disorder workbook the same way I liked Overcoming Bipolar, the other workbook we started with. I have a third workbook, but it's not, I don't like it on the face of it, but maybe if I review it more, it could be the third one that we get into. So have a happy Father's Day, and I'll see you mañana. Bye.